I'm Jason with the All Things Open team. I'm here with Michael. We're going to talk about open source security, agent workflows, and MCPs. Michael, please introduce yourself to the All Things Open community.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Donovan, VP of Product at Docker, currently overseeing Docker Hub and all the security solutions that come out of Docker. Prior to this, I was head of product at a company called Sauce Labs. Prior to all that, I was a developer for 15 plus years and moved into product management to help build great tools for developers, and loving it ever since.
Well, let's jump right in. You're passionate about open source, security, and agent workflows. What's exciting about that, and why is it important to you?
Well, I think it's really defining a new era of architecture and computing for software development, and it's creating a big rise in the need for open source. So a lot more open source development's happening. I mean, that's been happening for decades now, but it's even more apparent now, especially as you have agents and Gen AIs building and writing code for you. So the amount of software is going to grow, and that also comes with security risks, because there's not going to be enough humans looking at all that code, so you need ways to secure it. I think that's the two challenges that we got to solve.
Got it. Well, let's dive a little bit deeper into agent workflows. Why do you think it will expand the open source footprint?
One is that there's just more code being written. There'll be more code out in the world that's being written by AIs. And so I think that that'll naturally increase the amount of open source code that's out there and applications. Then I think open source software, the amount of it has just been growing year over year as we come up with new reasons and new types of things to build. And I think that this is opening up a whole new world of open source software to build. One of the comparisons I always make is with mobile development. That was maybe one of the previous big transformations that happened. I mean, the amount of open source software exploded that was needed to do mobile app development. We couldn't predict that at the beginning. 10 years later, you see a whole bunch of projects out there. I think we'll see the same thing 10 years from now with AI workloads.
I think I might agree with you. It should be interesting to watch. What's your take on security and AI, and what should we be paying attention to with AI and security?
We should be paying attention to where we are getting all of our dependencies from. So, in the open source world and software growth, you're always building on top of giants. You're building on the previous art that somebody else built, and those are what are referred as dependencies. And this definitely impacts the container world, and you need a trusted source for where you get those dependencies from, so that you're building on a good foundation, a good secure foundation. I think it becomes even more important, as I mentioned, as you've got different AIs and agents making decisions for you about what software you can depend on and what to write. And as the humans get farther and farther away from looking at the code, you need to be able to trust the source of where you're getting it from.
Fascinating. Thanks for sharing. I want to shift gears a little bit. What's an MCP? So tell us more about that.
If you Google it, you might get a couple different things, but it's
in our context,
in our context, it's Model Context Protocol. So it's a new standard, or attempting to be a standard that was released by Anthropic, that essentially creates a standard protocol for agents to interact with tools so that they can become more intelligent and able to do more things on behalf of a user. It really is what's making the agentic workflows explode, I think, because agents by themselves or large language models by themselves are not really able to interact with the outside world, especially if they weren't trained on the data necessary to do so. But MCP enables you to augment your LLM with access to local resources on your own computer, as well as external resources. Really anything your computer can have access to, whether it's on the internet or local, that's what MCP enables you to do.
Great. Thanks for sharing. There's a lot of discussion about AI's role in development. This is the hot topic. Do you think AI will replace developers?
No, I don't think so. I think that it will require that developers, and really probably every job, really focus more on the differentiated capabilities that we provide and the creative aspects of the job, and just really focus on that. So the repetitive aspects of coding and programming, that'll probably go away, and you'll instead use your time to work on more creative and interesting, innovative solutions. But I don't think the role will go away and be replaced, and I do think it'll evolve.
I'm excited to see what new titles emerge from all of this.
Yeah, AI engineer is already one of the ones that you see more and more as a good role to get into.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you have a new tool that you've been using lately to help boost your productivity? And can you share it with the ATO community?
I have really been using Granola, which is a AI tool that it runs on your computer and it essentially takes notes for you in meetings. Any audio that's coming out of your computer, it's able to take notes for the meeting. And I find it to actually be really good at taking those notes and summarizing them with action items so that I don't forget things. And then if you combine that those notes with like Claude or with any LLM with the new projects functionality they have, you can essentially have your own personal knowledge base of all the meetings that you have. And for someone like me, I do end up being in a lot of meetings, unfortunately, and I forget a lot of things. So that really optimizes my workflow.
Sounds like a really cool tool. I'll have to check it out. But I'm not as in many meetings as probably you are these days. So that's, but I still like to try new things. Last question I have for you is what's one tip, best practice, or a piece of advice that you can share with the ATO community?
The thing that comes to mind is definitely being open-minded to learning new things. So I hear a lot of people who are skeptics of AI, and I mean, they're generally skeptic of change, right? There's a personality type that just is skeptical of change. But I think the amount that you'll learn is correlated with how open-minded you are. And if you can be more open-minded and assume that the future is probably not going to be any worse. It's not going to be that bad. It's also not going to be that great. It's just going to be what it is. If you're open-minded to that, then you'll most likely learn more than you would have otherwise. And I think that's what we're all here to do, is just learn as much as possible.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Mike, thanks for your time today. We really appreciate being in the studio. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.